Hello, welcome to Football Thoughts 360. This is the maiden edition, of course, coming your way right here. But after match day 28, we have a very, very interesting competition in our hands at the moment. Liverpool, of course, who is one of the favourite, played City yesterday, and at Anfield, a very, very dragon zone. You don't want to go to Anfield, but of course, City being a City also try to salvage a point. But some are saying that it was a very Liverpool's loss rather than a City a draw or City salvaging a point was a very massive point for them because they could have easily lost that game. Considering what happened over the game on Sunday, I just think that Liverpool should have won that game 3-1. But after match day 28, whoever thought that Arsenal was going to be on top? Here we go, 10 games, 30 points. Amazing to all the Gooners and Garners out there for their campaign so far. They're playing so well still in Europe, playing in the Champions League and at the top of the table in the Premier League. What an amazing tournament so far it's been, or amazing season it's been for the Gunners, the boys in the red and white. But here we are again. There are many factors that have contributed to such a performance, in my opinion. I just think that the new Arsenal, the resurgence of them closing down and pressing high has been one of the major things that has really improved their game, especially Odegaard, who is always after chasing, and then you've got Harvard always also closing down the angles. That has been one of the main factors for me that has improved their game over the season. But Jorginho, when you got signed from Chelsea, a lot of people didn't give him a chance. But here we are, after Thomas Partey's injury, Jorginho seemed to have been the man orchestrating things and pulling all the strings in midfield together with Rice. What amazing performance those boys have teamed up now. And it's no surprise to see Arsenal playing in this performance or this level. And for me, I just think that Saka, last season around this time, Saka had dipped form a bit. And for me, this season, he seems to be going very well. I've always said that one of the things that I didn't like about Saka was the fact that he hardly used his right foot, but I've seen him working on his right foot this season. You could tell that every time he has the ball and it falls on his right, he strikes with his right foot. That is a massive plus. And he was so predictable last season as well. Everybody could predict what Saka was going to do, especially when he had the ball. You could tell that he was always going to cut in with the left foot. But this season, it's a different Saka who, can go forward and blast with his right foot. So he's developing into becoming gradually a world-class player. And I just think it's a very good sign for football, English football. And, football lovers across the world and various Ghana's football fans as well who always sing a song for Saka and back him up as well. But City, for me, this season, I just think that City has been a team that has been more controlling games. There's been more, so to speak. You can see the way they play, the pattern they play is just been in drills. You can see that from the training sessions. It's always trying to find Haaland. If you don't find Haaland, then you try to find Phil Foden or Bernardo Silva. And if you play Grealish, Grealish obviously will cut through, and that has been what City's performance has been. No wonder City's most important player this season has been Rodri, because they're not actually dominating games. They're only just being effective and trying to press high, trying to play the ball very quickly. And, it's just more like a pum, 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 find Haaland, basically. So that is what City's game has become, being more effective as a team rather than dominating games. And if you watch most of the games that they've lost, it's only because majority of these teams have always sat on the low block, or they probably defended more and sat in more deep. And when you sit in deep, of course, you have City, they will come out and hurt you. Liverpool, I didn't give Liverpool a lot of chance because of a lot of inconsistencies in their early performances. But so far, getting to the end of the season, I thought perhaps it's because Jurgen Klopp is going as well. It's kind of rejuvenated the team. It's brought in some youngsters who are very hungry, claiming for a spot and a space in the team. And I just think that has also been one of the most important factors that has brought that energy to Liverpool. Could it be a Liverpool season? Yes, no, for me, because it's only a point separating Liverpool and Arsenal because they tied same points with City. And that for me was one of the most important factors, because I haven't said all and done. You have to look at points because it's a league of points. And Liverpool seems to be there now. At the moment, they can easily win it. And then so for me, come to think of it, last week they were on top of the league, with Arsenal now with 1 point ahead. So they're still in there, still matches more to go. So can it be a Liverpool season? Absolutely, yes. But one of the things that I want us to look at today is all about in terms of strikers, because in these type of games that are left, or these important games that are left, you need your strikers especially. And one of the things that comes in mind will be Arsenal. Has Arsenal got the man to score the goal or to score goals? That has been one of the early major talking points that was being spoken about throughout the whole season, especially in the early part of the season. But as we speak now, because of the style of football Arsenal is playing now, they seem to be scoring from all angles. You've got an Arsenal, you've got Ben White scoring, Odegaard scoring, Harvard scoring. You've got so many strikers and so many midfielders. In fact, they've got a whole team, everybody attacking and scoring. So for me, I just think that whole cliche of Arsenal not having a striker and so they were going to struggle in the season. Here we are. Arsenal sits on top of the table after match day 28 without a main lethal striker, but they're leading the table now. So perhaps, Arteta knew what he was doing. Nunes being one of the most prolific strikers, especially in the early part of the season for Liverpool. He got injured a bit, came back in, dipped form a bit, missed some chances, and he seems to be there. I feel like Salah has dropped more into becoming more of a playmaker sometimes, rather than just a normal goal scorer like previous seasons where he teamed up with Sadio Mane and all the rest of these players. So a lot of things has changed, a lot of dynamics has changed after Mane's departure from Liverpool, and with Nunes playing proper centre forward, out and out striker. I think that has also kind of remodeled Salah's game a bit, sometimes trying to drop in a bit deep and picking up balls, or even if he drifts wide, he tries to kind of cut through and find that man in the box sometimes as well, except his trademark goals where he would normally kick with his left foot and try to gauge at the end of the last post, and a typical Salah goal. But he's gone to AFCON, came back and still in form, got injured, came back and he's recovered and scores some few goals as well. And I think Salah on the pitch for Liverpool gives them a massive confidence going ahead as well. So one of the things that puts all these teams ahead will be that. Now we have to look at City. Now there's nothing much to be said about Erling Haaland. He is of different planet. Erling Haaland, of course, so far, amazing goals. You give Haaland half a chance and he turns into a full chance. Sometimes he whacks the ball and he makes it look so easy. And, from a left-foot striker who can sometimes strike with his right foot, that for me is a very, very amazing thing that we have to talk about and look about. Because City's game so far this season has been Haaland, because you can tell every time he's on, they have a chance of winning the game, because you give Haaland a chance and you know what it's going to be through the air, whether you give him the air or whether you flick the ball to him on his left foot. He hits the ball so smooth and so sweet and is always at the back of the net. So when you compare all these three teams together and you look at, their lethal attacking prowess, prowess, so to speak, you can just actually tell that all these three teams actually have a chance of winning a title. So I just think that from now, it will be very exciting. We've got important games coming up. City has got important games coming up. Liverpool got some important games coming up as well. But consistency has been one of the most key things, or one of the things that has separated all these three players, or these teams, from the rest of the other teams like the Man Uniteds and the Tottenhams and, the Chelseas. Talking about all that bit, then you have to go back to the old guys like Man United. The big question or big talking point still kind of, you hear that in corridors and in hallways, that should Eric Ten Hag be sacked, or Should Eric Ten Hag stay, or has he done a great job? What do you think? Personally, I think Eric Ten Hag finds it very, very difficult in managing this Man United team. Because you have to have a blend of a bit of young players. You have to have a blend of old players as well, all together, to be able to have that experience mixed with young players, so you can have that, that fabric of football that you want. Because you have to understand that with Man United, you need to have players that do have know-how. You just can't put a bunch of kits on and expect to win. It won't work like that, because I've seen games that United have gone 2 goals up and still find it very difficult to dominate. At Man United, you have to grind resource, but you have to dominate by play. This is the old traditional counter-pressing football of Man United. Of course, games, football tactics has changed over the years, but I go back to United City at Etihad, and for me, United score first goal, Marcus Rashford, brilliant, amazing, fantastic goal, and United 6 in a low block. I don't get that. You've got players like Kevin, Kobe Mainoo, the new young star. You've got Casemiro, who's mentoring him, and all these players. And one of the biggest problems I've always said that is facing Man United is Bruno Fernandes. I just think Bruno Fernandes is a big disservice to the team. Yes, you probably might say why, because he's scoring he scored goals where he creates chances. Yeah, but what is his defensive work rate like? The modern football demands a modern midfielder should be able to track back, should be able to have that defensive ability, sometimes be able to box the midfield as well. I don't see that for him. You see the best of Bruno Fernandes only when he's got the ball. But football without the ball, you should be able to put in the shift. I don't see a lot of that from him. All I see is a lot of complaining and trying to, gauge in when he's got the ball. Yes, fantastic player, but off the ball, he causes -1 to the team. And that, for me, is something that, going forward, if United can bring in another midfielder who can have that kind of energy in running back in and out, that would be great. I mean, Luka Modric is going to be 38, and the man still tracks back. He joins the attack, controls the game. Same thing. Toni Kroos and Real Madrid, they do the same thing. It's become the new norm of modern midfielders. If you don't have this, you cannot survive. So for me, Bruno Fernandes is not one of the players that, yes, when he has the ball, he's a great and fantastic player, but he doesn't really give anything off the ball. And that, for me, coupled with the likes of Anthony, who off the ball is not putting a lot of work rate and stuff like that. When you have a team that do things like this, you're always going to struggle. I mean, you look at City and they lose the ball and everybody is chasing the ball and they want the ball back. So for me, that is one of the things why we see Man United not really doing well this season. And I just think so far, yes, you could probably say they've gotten some results here and there, but very unconvincing performance throughout the whole season and very inconsistent. Another thing I always ask myself is, what position does Marcus Rashford play? Is he a winger? Is he a number 9? Or is he a number 10? I'm going to leave that to you to answer. If you're a United fan and you're probably watching or listening, I just want to ask you, is he a number 9? Marcus Rashford. Is he a number 10? Or is he a number 7? Sometimes a number 11. So I just think little things like this, if you don't tie all these, play or tactics together, it kind of makes it very, very complicating. You can tell when United are always under counter-pressing and they move the ball up front. You can just tell there's something missing. There's a certain rhythm that is missing. Okay, you don't want to roll back to the days of the Tevez and the Cristiano Ronaldos and the Rooneys. When they had the ball, there was a clear plan with Fergie. There was a movement. I'm talking about the movement. It's the movement that generates the goal. It's what causes the midfielders to find the pass or find the player, whether into pocket, whether into the right space, whether ahead, whether they're lobbing the ball. So generally, that whole thing is missing at Man United. Because I'm going to ask you, who are the three or who are the 2 centre forwards or 2 attacking players for United? And you can't say none. It's a big problem now, because clearly it looks to see very undefined, roles for these players up front. is also causing some of the midfielders, it's getting them confused. They can't really know whether I pass the ball to right or I pass the ball to left. Most successful teams have a very, very clean, tidy, and well-defined roles for players. You know that Vinicius Junior, when he moves on the left, when he has the ball, you know what he's going to do. Whether he's going to take 1v1 or whether he's going to get into the box or cross the ball or something. You just know. You know, Jude Bellingham, a very young 20-year-old Jude Bellingham, goes to Real Madrid, and you can just tell his role is defined. They play a diamond, he plays on top of the diamond. It's just as simple as that. But you ask yourself, at Man United, you don't see this. And if you can't find this is going to be very difficult. Because actually, you come to Man City or or what they say, noisy neighbours. You go to the noisy neighbours and you know what Phil Foden is doing. If he's not playing wide or Pep decides to play him in the middle, in a Kevin De Bruyne role, you just know that's the role he's playing. If Erling Haaland is up front, he knows where to receive the balls from. That cannot be said of United. So that for me is been one of the big problems for United this season. Inconsistencies and undefined and well uncultured roles. You don't really find undefined roles in this United team. It feels like today they played that player, tomorrow they played that player, the next day they played that player. So those inconsistencies in bringing in constant players and also not defining the rules very, very well is what's causing that, in terms of performance, or that's causing that inconsistency in performance-wise, because, winning brings a lot of confidence, and like they say, the old saying goes, you don't change a winning team, and that for me is one of the most important things that United need to fix going ahead for the new season. One of the teams that really surprised me so far this season has been Spurs. I have been amazed about Spurs play. I just felt that this new Spurs, they played really well. They lost so many players to the AFCON. Players went to the Asian Cup simultaneously at the same time. And they still managed to be out there, still winning games and playing very, very well. Especially you look at the squad in-depth they have, not much squad in-depth, but still managed so much to, have a good performance. So this Spurs team for me has been one of the most amazing performances that, never stops. And I keep talking about them because Postecoglou came in, from Celtic. A lot of people didn't give him a chance. People thought, Harry Kane especially, who every season is on about 20 plus goals for Spurs, is gone. And where were the goals going to come from? Son, can he do it like he did it previous seasons ago? His partner isn't there. Harry Kane is gone. But Postecoglou comes in, transformed this whole Spurs game, or the whole team's strategy, attacking minded. He changed their whole philosophy into a different beast mode. And for me, I just have to say, big ups to the man, Postecoglou. He's done very, very well. One of the things he's managed so well in this Spurs team is the fact that he's been able to, kind of sometimes play into the pocket, control the forward line, press high a bit, but at the same time as well, when they go down, they never stop running. They keep coming at you. They keep coming at you. And that for me is very, very important, because if, the best way to defend is to attack. So that for me has been one of the most exciting part of their game. But then when they had Richarlison, who for most part of the season wasn't performing or lost form, and when he came back, then they had to adapt the whole strategy, then begin to go long. And the way he adapted that style and that system and be able to find Richarlison with those long balls, sometimes with the crosses and stuff like that, amazing. I just felt that the adaptability of the tactical play within this Spurs team is remarkable, and it has to be spoken about. So now it brings me down to one of the most important parts of the season so far. Yes, we've got Arsenal, we've got City, Liverpool, and then, of course, we've got the rest of the teams. But what do you think that if City loses the title this season, would it be for the fact that? Or let me go back to the most massive talking point. That's why I'm arriving at the moment. What that Doku tackle, what that Doku tackle on McAllister, would it have had a lot of effect on the game? Should Liverpool been given a penalty? If Liverpool had a penalty and perhaps they scored or probably scored, what would have been the results like? It would have been a 3 points for them. Would that have changed the whole dynamics of the league? Would that be something that we have to look at the end of the season, or because there's so much being spoken about now about that tackle. Yes, Doku had the ball, but he had the man as well. I have no doubt on my mind that or no doubt in my mind that that should have been a red card, or that should have been a penalty. Even if not a red card, that should have been a penalty. And so for me, I just felt that Liverpool should have been given a penalty, to in their favour. That's simple as that. But going ahead, can that be one of the major impacts of the game at the end of the season? Is it something that we could, especially playing against City, and every 3 points for City, for Liverpool, both sides is very crucial because the three teams are now competing, 1 point separating each one of them. And I don't know where it's going to go at the moment. But if that Doku tackle, if that was given a red card, or if that was given a penalty, so to speak, would that have changed the dynamics of the league? Jurgen Klopp is looking for a farewell trophy, and he's gone in at the Premiership title now. Would that have been a massive farewell title for him? Perhaps. Yes. Well, it's still match day 28. We've still got some few games to go. So that is one of the things that maybe end of the season will be talked about or not. So let's see what happens to the end of the season as well. But also, we've got the Champions League coming up, very massive points, massive games coming up in the Champions League. And that we should be looking forward to that particular part of the tournament as well. Champions League, we've got Paris Saint-Germain. Kylian Mbappe, his last season for Paris Saint-Germain, maybe he's got something to prove. Again, he's been there. He's told the owners, Al Khelafi, that he doesn't want to stay anymore. The rumors are there. He's coming to Real Madrid. Is he staying? But I believe the deal is done. So next season for sure he's coming. But in the Champions League, you've got Arsenal, you've got Paris Saint-Germain, and all the big players are in there and the big teams are in there. Can Real Madrid do it this season? Would it be City again? Don't forget, the only club in history to ever do it 3 times in a row is Real Madrid. So, yeah, that's one of the big talking points, after looking at the Premier League and looking at, of course, La Liga. Real Madrid running away with the league, 7 points ahead so far after, they beat Celta Vigo. So that is looking at much, much more like a Madrid season so far for La Liga. Jude, yes, one player that cannot be escaped. Jude, young Jude Bellingham, 20 years of age, 20 goals, 9 assists. Boy, that's ridiculous. That's for a 20-year-old first season in Real Madrid as a midfielder, playing on top of the diamond with 20 goals, 9 assists, great performances week in, week out. Oh boy, man, Jude is definitely world class. He's on a different planet, and I think that he'll be one of the most important players for England come this Euros, because he'll be one of the main anchors, for England come Euros. Maybe Phil Foden and Jude will be one of the main key players that England will fall on for the Euros. But this has been the maiden edition of Football Thoughts 360. Every week we're going to drop one episode every week, and it will be available on all platforms. It will be available on all other streaming platforms, from YouTube to Spotify to all the other channels. You're going to find it there. And of course, every Wednesday, it will be released on every Wednesday, that you can go on your streaming platform and also watch or listen to Football Thoughts 360. So we just want to know your thoughts about what you think. You can also subscribe to the channel, whatever platform you are on, whether it's Spotify, whether it's Apple, or whether you on YouTube. Every platform you can be on. Football Thoughts 360, that will be your most favorable football thoughts. But next week, of course, we're coming with dropping a lot of discussion. I'm bringing colleagues here who will join me next week, and we'll be having a very massive discussion as we also look forward to the games ahead this coming weekend. Could that be massive deciders now? Every game counts, every point counts, every moment counts this particular season. So let's look ahead for the coming weekend and the matches ahead. My name is Kojo Ejay Jima, Football Thoughts 360. Thank you.